Greetings, Neuse Little Pod listeners. This is your host, Matt Gore, reminding you to please like, follow, subscribe, and share the podcast on your available podcast apps such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and any other podcast app you can think of. Share our episodes on Facebook and let us know what you think with a comment or review. Now, please enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast, an audio program discussing the almost 50-year history of Neuse Little Theater and the backstage antics and stories that come along with running a community theater in a small town. I'm your host, Matt Gore, and we are coming to you from NLT Stage and Base of Operations, the little log cabin located on the banks of the Neuse River in Smithfield, North Carolina. We lovingly refer to it as the Hut. All right, gang, before we get started with the second part of Leanne's interview, we want to at least mention and acknowledge that we have been doing this podcast for one whole year, Mita. One whole year.
Yes, we have.
And our first episode debuted on August 21st, 2020. And this episode that you're listening to now will debut on August 2021. So it's almost a year by a day. So it almost lined up.
And we've been holding pretty steady, actually. I'm impressed how many people have stuck with us and listened every time. To
the core crowd, all 31 of you, we really appreciate it. It's tens of listeners, people. We were, but no, in all seriousness,
more than two hands worth.
For those core few that do listen to us every week, we really do appreciate it. And for those people that just pop in for an episode and then pop out, that's cool too. And it doesn't cost us anything to do the podcast except, time and effort, but gas. But we wouldn't do it if we didn't love doing it, right, Mita?
Yep.
So you have to also remember that the podcast is an ever-evolving format. So we might try new things like we did this past summer with our Outsider series about other theaters that are in the eastern North Carolina area. And then we brought it back to our core group with our two-part interview with Leanne Bernard. And we're going to continue to do that for a while, but we might try new things. So we hope that you'll come with us on that journey. We're going to, everything might not work out. We'll have an interesting Halloween episode for you this year. So, 'cause since we all kind of love Halloween around here, we all kind of like to give it an extra effort.
Right, and we do it to entertain ourselves. So we hope everybody's along for the ride. Quite honestly.
Yeah.
I love listening to other people's stories about the theater because I really enjoyed hearing what other people, how their perception is of us or theater in general or shows, and it's nice to sort of connect with people. And this last year and a half when we were dark and couldn't do anything, it was really nice to connect with people. So
yeah, I mean, I said it from the beginning. I've said this in previous episodes. I'll say it again. I want people to listen, but that's not the ultimate goal here. The ultimate goal is to get the conversations and the history of the theater down on some type of file or something that we can hand off to somebody, so if people are interested in the history of the theater, they can parcel through all our BS and then actually find the history of the theater. But so that was the main goal from day one, is to get people that we knew were getting older and to get their stories down on some type of document, some type of file, and it happened to be an audio program. So for those of you that are with us, we thank you. And we're going to have repeat guests. We're going to have some favorites back. And we've got the whole year planned out. So we've got a whole calendar year of stuff ahead, including our very special Halloween episode that we mentioned. And we're going to have something for Christmas. I have no idea what yet, but something. And we'll have some interesting guests along the way. So thank you for listening. And now we're going to let you listen to part 2 of Leanne's interview. Thank you. All right, folks, coming up is our second part of our conversation with Leanne Bernard. Strap in, it's about to get spooky. All right, so tell us briefly about your new foray into the world of being a spiritual medium, because this is something aspect to your life I don't know a whole lot about, to be honest. I knew you were around the time of Blind Spirit, I know you had mentioned it. That's ironic because spiritual medium plays heavily into that show.
Yeah, very, very. The irony runs deep there. Well, I kind of stumbled into it. I was getting some Reiki healing, which I had no idea what that was. Turns out it's just basically a Japanese energy healing. And so through that, it kind of awoke some of my psychic abilities. I'm a Scorpio, and I'm just learning all the aspects of my zodiac sign, but apparently Scorpios are highly psychic.
Interesting.
And yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So, yeah, I've had some pretty amazing experiences and amazing readings. And I'm always a little nervous that people are going to think, if they know that I'm an actor, do they think that I'm trying to act the part of a medium? Because, especially in Blythe Spirit, we always wonder, is Madame Arcadi really gifted, or is she just playing a part, playing a role? And so once you know your character for stage, for film, whatever mediumship you're doing in that realm, you allow it to come through you, right? It's the same way with doing readings, whether they're psychic readings or mediumship readings where you're tapping into someone's loved ones. It's all allowing it to happen. It's nothing that you do through your own power. So you're just being an open channel.
Okay. Well, have you ever tried to like contact a spirit that has crossed to the other side?
I have.
Hey.
I'll tell you an interesting story.
Okay.
One day I was sitting on my porch and I looked at the house next door. And up in the window where it would be like an unfinished space, I saw in my mind's eye this little girl. And she had kind of like a prairie dress on, kind of like a peachy color. And her hair was kind of loosely back. She had blonde hair. And she kind of smiled at me. And I thought, well, who in the world are you? I don't know. You've never seen you. You look like you're from maybe the Midwest back in the days where, people were doing wagon rides across the country and exploring the West. So I was in a group with other psychic and mediums, metaphysical folks, and we were doing readings, and it was kind of like a shotgun thing where you get whatever you get, and say, I just see a lady in a purple dress. Can anyone take that? And so one person, kind of shy in her ability, said, I'm getting this little girl, and she's wearing kind of a prairie dress. I said, is she blonde? She said, yes, she is. I said, I know exactly who it is. And we figured out that this girl died, kind of got lost from her family, and she was separated and died of the elements, out in the cold, and she just needed a little help crossing over and letting go of this realm. So it's really cool when you get a chance to work with other mediums and metaphysical folks to get that validation.
Okay. All right. I'll say up top I'm a skeptic, but that's okay.
That's okay.
So,
I respect that.
But let me...
I was too.
I am a Scorpio, by the way.
You've got psychic gifts, Matt.
I don't know about that. Baby!
Everyone
do I have
does.
psychic gifts? She's giving me the finger.
I knew she was going to do that.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't know that I would even, I don't even know I would go strong as skeptic, but I do I'm very open-minded about the whole thing. I watch a lot of those videos on YouTube and stuff, but I do a lot of those go,
Yeah, Randy wants proof. He's like, find out what year they died, and let's see if we can, look them up in the day of information that we can.
I can tell you I've had an experience here, 2 of them actually, and those were sort of for me to go, oh, okay. But the one that pushes me over the top is the fact that I moved into my grandmother's house, and I had not bought the house yet. It was still in um, estate or whatever. You know, they were still trying to settle the estate.
Right.
And it took about 3 years for my mother and her sisters to finally come to terms and decide to finish, you know, to finalize things. So I had been staying at the house to keep someone in the house. Because, you know, a house that stays empty dies. You know, it starts to
Yes.
fall apart. And so I was living at the house, and I had a dog, and it was cold, so I brought her inside. It was the first time she'd been inside, and she was gross because she's an outdoor dog. And I washed her, and that was a bad idea. And then, so then she was wet, so I was like, okay, I can't put her out now that she's annoying me. So I had to wait for her, but we fell asleep on the couch. And we both woke up in the middle of the night, and she popped her head up off that couch and growled at the doorway. And if you've ever been in my den, there's a door that leads to the front bedroom, a door that leads to the hallway, and a door that leads to like the bathroom off of the hallway. So there's like 3 entrances. She went to one door, went around the corner, and growled. And then she went around the other door and went to the same spot and growled at the same spot. And she went back and forth several times. And I walked over with this immense feeling that someone was in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I peeked around the corner going, I'm going to have to hurt somebody. You know, I'm going to have to try and fend somebody off. And I looked, and there was no one there, but she was looking about head height and growling. And I leaned over and went, it's okay, Grandma. The dog is going outside as soon as she's dry. And the dog went, all right, let's go to bed. And we popped back on the couch and went back to sleep.
So you felt a presence. You felt the room, someone in the room.
There was a lot of, when my mother and my aunts decided to settle the house, this was in the middle of all that, it got very heated between the 3 of them, and I think that stirred my grandmother up. And so I just went, Grandma, dog is going outside, everything will be fine as soon as she's dry. And everything calmed down and everything was good. But it's like, I felt her that whole week when they were trying to decide to do stuff. That's like, if I have to pick one moment where I'm like, I can't say there's not anything, because I had that experience.
Yes.
So, but a lot of the stuff that you catch on videos and stuff, I'm like, I don't believe any of that. But I have to say I have had several, a handful of personal experiences that I can't dismiss.
And I think most people have. I do too. And I've had stuff too. There was a time, that was something I can't explain that happened in college when I was at Western Carolina. Briefly, since we're all sharing, I was on the 7th floor of Scott Dorm. Scott Dorm is a very, very old dorm. It's non-air conditioning, and it's long building. It's just a long hallway building with nothing but dorm room. And I was in this girl's room, and we were reading the Bible and drinking hot cocoa.
And now I know why the spirit showed up.
And
because
nothing
you were
more.
reading the
I say
Bible.
nothing more. And so the point is, her door just kind of opened up. It's just like someone turned the knob and it opened. And I was like, that's weird. And she's like, don't worry, that happens sometimes. And I'm like, what? Your door just opens? I'm like, who is it? And she's like, there's no one there. I'm just like, whatever. So I get up, and she's in the middle of the hallway, and I look left, and I look right. And I was up, from the second the door opened, I was staring down the hallway within 7 seconds. There's no way somebody could run that fast. I didn't hear a door slam. I was like, there's no way somebody could have just ran and just went around the corner or something. I was like, I can't explain that. So, yeah, so I too have experiences that I truly can't explain. Okay.
Well, I have one more story
Okay,
that I'd like to share
No,
with
go ahead,
you.
go ahead.
Okay.
I think we're delving into 2-part territory now,
We
so we have
are.
time. We have time.
Okay, so I was on the Reiki table getting some healing, and I was feeling great gratitude. By the way, that is a real trick. If you want your gifts to come in, be super grateful. You raise your vibrations, and you don't know who's going to come in and say hello. So I actually was feeling really good, but I started talking about my dad and losing my dad, and how I felt guilty that I didn't feel like I did everything for him before he passed. He died alone. It wasn't the way he wanted to go, and it was pretty tragic. So I went from feeling really happy to really sad. And all of a sudden, the music that she had on, it was, really soulful, spiritual, meditation music. All of a sudden, this pop happened on her desk. And we were both kind of like, what was that? And then I heard don't take this on yourself. Like, it's okay. I love you. And then all of a sudden, this nasty rap. I mean, foul language, and she turned bright red. And no one was touching her phone. And all of a sudden, this music started playing, and she's scrambling to go get it. And I start busting out laughing. And all of a sudden, I know that my father did it to break the ice, to make us both laugh. And there's no other reason to explain how that would have happened.
Okay. I talked with you briefly about this off air, but I had an idea for this. On one of our podcasts, if an Eagle listener can possibly hear it, I've said that we have captured audio of Mildred laughing in the background during one of our interviews. No, Mita, don't stop shaking your head. They're not going to believe it if you discount it immediately. That definitely wasn't you laughing in a reverb.
I would like to point out, I just shook my head. You're the one that told people I was saying no. But he did. He goes, listen to this. And he listens. He goes, and in the background, you hear, and it's me because I killed my mic. And you were always picking it up on his mic.
And I was going around to everybody. I was like, hey, we
It's
captured.
Mildred.
It's Mildred. She's laughing on the mic. And a few people believe me. But
She does have a great sense of humor.
it is
It
Mildred.
is Mildred. See, Pam believes it.
Okay, but my point is this.
I would believe it too if I didn't recognize my laugh.
I want to make it kind of a tradition on the podcast that we do something spooky for Halloween, because me and Mita and all of our friends, we just love Halloween a lot. Mm-hmm. So, would it be in any way insulting to you if I invited you here close to Halloween and we try to contact Mildred?
Oh, I would freaking love that. Absolutely.
Will it be us three and you'll do your thing? We'll be
Yeah.
respectful and I'll play the part of the skeptic.
Okay.
And Mita can be the kind of person in between.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, can I go, what was that? What was that? Because
I'm
that's
like,
what
it's
they
the
do on
wind.
those
It's the wind.
stupid TV shows. I'm like, if you'd shut up, we'd know what's going on.
Okay.
Well, how many shows have we all been in where things go missing?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just respectfully ask Mildred, hey, can you please return this? And they show back up.
If you listen to our other Halloween podcast, our little brief intro, we try to say, hey, Mildred, if you want to say something on the podcast, now's the time. And she never showed up. So
I think she's kind of shy.
She is very shy.
we'll see what we can
She
do.
likes,
But she's
she
a
likes-
prankster.
She likes that we're here. She likes that the theater's being in use. She doesn't like being here by herself. I always get the impression that she likes people, but she's not a shower, if you will.
Yes.
She's much more, but she will take your things if she doesn't think she's getting enough attention. But all you have to do is go, Mildred, I seriously need my eyeliner.
Yeah.
Mildred, where's my belt? Come on now.
And if you leave and come back, it's usually right where you left it.
Thank
even though you
you.
looked there. So it's
Happened
like,
to one of my shirts on Almost Maine. Couldn't find it. Could not find it the night before. I'm like, okay, I lost that shirt. Came back the next night. I'm like, it's on the bench. I'm like, I definitely looked on the bench. And I know Steven didn't pick it up for me.
Uh-huh. It was Mildred. It was Mildred. I think she really likes being able to pull pranks on folks.
Well,
here at the hut.
that's okay.
she likes to be a part of things.
That's fine.
Yeah.
She's a part of the hut, just like every one of us. Tam, do you have any interesting tales of the spiritual realm that you'd like to share with us this evening, since you're here?
Yeah, one time I was home by myself, and my old house that I used to live in, like, lots of weird things would happen. But I was home by myself, and I was on the computer, and I was I was at a little desk. There was no one around me, and all of a sudden, something pushed the back of my head down, like pushed my head completely down. And I turned around and looked, and I saw this white glowing orb just kind of float away. And of course I turned right back around because I've seen a lot of horror movies. I didn't want to look at it anymore. But nothing else happened that day. But I've seen, you see people out of the corner of your eye, all the time. That happens to me all the time.
What's your opinion on that, Leanne?
I feel like it was a male presence. He was definitely trying to get your attention.
He got it.
Yeah, that was like a serious hello. I think he needed help, and he thought that you could help him.
I was 14.
All right, so we're going to look forward to that this Halloween. We're going to have Leanne back, and she is going to be kind enough to see if we can actually contact Mildred.
Yeah. Do you want me to wear Madame Arcati clothes and bring my crystal ball?
Let me
or
think
just,
about it.
Okay.
Let me think about it.
Covered in coin and like jingling.
Oh,
things.
please
Yes.
do not.
We can
That'd be
get Randy
terrible for audio.
We can get Randy to film it. How's that?
I'm not against that idea. I'm actually not. That thought had crossed my mind too. We'll see. We'll think about it.
Okay.
Now that you're on board with it, I can actually start to think about it in a realistic way.
Absolutely.
I talked about it in the past of putting up a camera, like a webcam, just to see what
One of those
happens
light
when we're not
motion
here.
cameras that'll like this is just motion and then it'll light up and start recording. Oh yeah, those are
and you could get all kind of ghost hunting equipment, EMF readers. I have one, by the way. Which is really helpful.
Is that the one that goes out the noise where it sends out a radio signal?
It senses electrical,
It gives you
magnetic.
and a reading if it finds electromagnetic activity. The only problem with it is this building, the wiring's so old. I don't know if we would get false readings or not, because the wiring in here is not modern in any way, and we'd have to kill the whole power to the whole building in order to.
Oh, that would be.
Well, for now we're gonna.
Boy, that sounds like a horror movie ready to happen.
I know.
They're doing a seance.
We're gonna contact something, and we're gonna have to like fight it off with stuff just in the hut.
Don't open the doorway! Don't open the doorway! We do not need what's their name? The Warrens.
The Warrens, the Conjuring 4, they come here.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I have an argument with my boss about this, about how they're total charlatans, and he totally believes everything in there. Oh, okay.
I just got a gasp over here to my right.
Tamara was just like the gasp at my Warrens are fake comment. Honey, just Google Warrens plus lawsuit, and that'll tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that is the sad part about our profession, is that there are a lot of charlatans.
I believe he believes him, but I.
Yeah.
Well, and I can't guarantee that they don't have some sort of gift, but when you start to like make it a business, I mean, like actual become famous because of it. It seems like you're just playing to.
Well, and that's where you get into trouble, is when you start bringing your ego into this business.
Exactly,
you
right.
can't. You've gotta stay in love and
But isn't that
openness
okay?
and gratitude.
It starts being more about you than about.
Isn't that hard for an
Right.
actress though? Any actress, period. Is it hard to take the ego out of it?
Well, I think that's the challenge, right? If I had come to playing Caprice with a whole lot of ego, finding her voice, we struggled with that, right?
Right.
Like, I had one vision, you had another. And if I would have stuck with my guns of, I think I'm right, if I would have stayed in my ego, we wouldn't have had this amazing character. It was an evolution. So I had to let go of that and my beliefs. I had to trust you and just keep exploring until I found the right voice for her. And it's the same thing if you are doing readings where you're bringing your own ego in and you're bringing your own fears in, that's when you get into trouble. So, you got to be able to let that drop off to the side and just be the channel.
Well, you've honestly, I've kind of said it before. It is hard. Would you agree that for someone to do this, what we kind of do, what you did, successfully, consistently, it's very hard to not have some type of ego attached to it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, everybody knows the term diva.
Right.
I mean, and we all know them. They're the ones that are so fantastic on stage, but so difficult to deal with in real life. So I would say the challenge then becomes is, can you be that kind open person in real life and open to allowing as an actor? And throwing your ego. I think that's why I enjoy playing someone completely different than me. They have a totally different set of problems that I can just forget about mine and just have fun with theirs.
And that's what I've always enjoyed about doing the acting thing is you can drop you off at the door and be somebody else for a couple of hours. And then when you come back to your stuff, you're like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. Or maybe, you've worked through some things because your subconscious has been working on it without having to think about it all the time. That's what I've always really enjoyed, is like, it's almost like a 2-hour vacation from being you for a while. And then, boom, you can go back to your real life and not feel so, I don't know, all your problems seem to have been, they don't seem as bad or they don't seem quite as insurmountable.
piggybacking on something you said earlier, what's been one of the most challenging things you've ever run across in theater? You don't have to go into any specifics if you don't want to, anything like that. But what's something that I know I threw you a curveball.
Well, I got to wear the director's hat, and that's probably the hardest job. And everybody thinks, oh, well, if I'm in charge, then I'm in charge, and everything's going to be great. But I guess what you don't account for and don't expect are other people's egos and hurt feelings, and when that gets out of control, that can lead to some pretty scary experiences, and it did for me. So I have not directed since then. It's not that I wouldn't, but it definitely, was an experience that I hope I never have to repeat.
Well, was it just coming to rehearsal and knowing that might be a factor of something you had to deal with?
And it wasn't just for me, it was worrying about the safety of my stage manager, my cast, my crew, and even the patrons. It escalated to that kind of situation, and that was frightening, knowing that, yes, I'm in charge, but I'm also responsible for all
Right.
of these souls.
And it's good that, honestly, I applaud you for even saying that and taking that responsibility, because sometimes some directors don't. They're like, whatever doesn't happen outside of rehearsal is not my purview, and it's just, well.
Right. If they're on their way to rehearsal, I feel responsible for
I'm
them.
not referring to their home life. I'm referring to things that affect the play outside of rehearsal.
Yes. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the director's job is to put on a good show, and and on the same hand, create a safe working environment for your cast. Those are your two goals right
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Equally important.
Well, and it seemed like every show that I was in as a director, I had some challenges. I had one where the leading man was showing up drunk, and he's tossing around a little girl and dance numbers, and I can't have that. I had to let him go, and I know he's a good person, and of course I have empathy, but at the end of the day, my responsibility is to the whole cast, not to just one person. So, you have to do the right thing. That's kind of my goal for 2021, man. Just do the right thing no matter what the circumstances.
And it's tough as a director because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to hurt anybody. But there does come a point where you have to say, I can't let this happen anymore. You've stepped over the line. This is too far. I was on your side until you did that. And,
Yes.
So yeah, and it's tough because nobody wants to be the bad guy. At least I don't, for sure. It's like, I would rather go, can't wait, I come to rehearsals when I'm an actor. I just want to get along with everybody. I want to do my job. When I come as a director, I want everybody to come and have a good time and do their job. One fly in the ointment can muck it up for everybody and ruin everybody's experience. And before you know it, nobody wants to come back and do a show. Nobody wants to do it anymore. Someone, and so, yeah, it's just let your director, be nice to your directors. They don't want to put the foot down any more than anybody else
No,
does.
because
Absolutely.
it's awkward. It affects the show. It's not what you want.
Nobody wants to fire somebody.
No.
But that is,
No, that's not fun.
And I know
And
we're
it-
not
it-
getting paid, or nobody, in community theater, most actors don't get paid, but you're still firing somebody you're putting the director in the position of having to fire you when you just cannot play by the rules. So,
Yeah. And the unfortunate thing is, you could potentially get labeled as, oh, they were on a power trip. And that's the thing that you may have to defend, is that, no, I'm looking out for the safety of the whole group, not just the interests of one person.
right. So keep yourself straight. Don't be violent. Don't, make passes at the girls in the show. I'm trying to think of all the things that have ever happened that
But it made it uncomfortable
Honestly,
to come to
but
rehearsal.
there hasn't been stuff like that in a little bit. And kudos to you, because you came in and you dove in head first, and you were very easy to work with. And everybody knows, everybody who's seen you on stage knows you're a good actress. That is not in dispute here, but that is also another reason why you kept getting cast, is because you're not easy to work with. You know, you show up, you take it seriously, you memorize your lines in a
You put
timely.
the work in.
Yeah, you put
Yeah.
the work in. All right, as a director, there's one thing I can't freaking stand. I can stomach almost anything, even a hair of disrespect, but I can't stand it if you don't try. If you
Yes.
don't try, I don't have time for you. I am not looking for more nice people in theater.
Right.
I'm looking for people that are going to work.
Do your job.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love to work hard. I love to put in the work of learning a role, memorizing a role, learning my blocking. That is a lot of, and I'm happy to jump in any aspect of the show if I need to, you know, and that's what community theater is. Y'all have to pull together and work as a unit to make this show happen.
The day it stops being fun is the day you need to stop.
Yeah.
And on anything you do, on any hobby you have, if it becomes a burden, then let it go. Because I love you, I love our listeners, but the day this podcast stops becoming fun is the day I'm going to start driving from Dudley. You know,
Awesome.
because you need to, as you said, you need to do something that enriches your life and just do the next right thing.
It does. Yeah. Life is too long to not love what you do.
Right.
Everybody says it's too short, but I like to say it's too long.
We're lucky. We need to acknowledge that we are lucky that we are in the position to be able to enjoy our hobbies, and because not everybody does. There's people out there that are true artists with true passions that have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet and couldn't be here. Like, there's people at my day job that I'm like, they would be great actor. They don't know it. Like,
Yeah.
they would be a great actor, but they literally do not have the time.
Well, and I have to say that, you know, I've been in a lot of community theater, and there are just as many talented people and community people in community theater as there are on Broadway, if not more. I mean, I feel like your heart is a lot more open, knowing that you're not doing it for the paycheck. You're doing it because you just love to do it. You know, put the work in, and it's a pretty special thing to be able to be a part of a community theater.
There is no system in place where we're paid a living wage and can do this, you know?
Yeah.
So we have to be able to do it as a form of love, as you said.
Yes.
If the passion isn't there, then stay home.
Yep. Don't audition.
Yeah.
If you're looking to feed your ego, just don't audition.
Right. No, I was gonna say, and you have moments where, like, you have people who come in who are amazing, and you know they don't have any desire other than to do community theater because they have a whole life that they're happy with. They just want to come and do it. And then you have people who think this is the jumping off point for their big career, and I'm like,
There's Andrew Britt went on to be an assistant director on Broadway with Sir Ian McKellen and another, probably Patrick Stewart. And
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, and Waiting for Godot. There's a picture of him and everything, and that's amazing. But for the vast majority, you know, that's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, and you can say that about anything. I mean, anybody, anywhere, because the amount of people who make it big, because everybody's like, well, I want to be the next Hugh Jackman, or I want to be the next, you know, Tom Hanks. You know how hard they had to work? You know how many other people
Exactly.
wanted to be in the same position?
Do you know how
and
hard they
didn't
work
make it?
now?
Exactly.
Hugh Jackman
Yeah.
wakes up at 4 a.m. and like exercises for 2 hours and then rehearses for another hour and then eats breakfast. You know?
Yeah, I had a voice student ask me, you know, she says, well, you know, I may want to major in music at college. I said, that'd be great. I'll be happy to help you. And she was like, well, how do I make it big? And I kind of laughed and flippantly said, well, if I knew that, wouldn't I have done that for myself?
Yeah.
I mean, I was joking, but, you know, and then I got serious with her and I told her, I was like, it requires a lot of commitment and hard work on your part.
And sometimes a little bit of luck. You have to be in the right
And
place
you got to
at the
be
right
in the right,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I think the people who you think of as big and famous, and you know, I want to be them. I can be the next so and so. You have to remember, they worked a lot, really hard to get where they were, but they took a lot. I mean, they did a lot of little piddly stuff to get their name out there, to be in a position where people would recognize their talent. Otherwise, they'd still be singing in their bathroom, or you know, at the local karaoke night. They would, you know, they had to work really hard to get up there where Somebody.
Welcome to Johnston County, folks. That would be a great big truck with a loud muffler running down Market Street. Hold on just a second, it'll be gone.
We're used to them by now.
Yeah.
But no, it's just you have to be willing to put in the time and the effort to put yourself in a position where someone important, established, can find you. Otherwise, you're not going to be right. I mean, the days of being picked up off the street because your picture's in a store window like Ava Gardner is gone. You're not.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen to people anymore.
No.
Well, they may pick you off of YouTube if you do.
Okay. All right, folks. We're going to put a pin in it right there, and we hope you've enjoyed our full conversation with Leanne, and we certainly appreciate her coming from Chapel Hill to talk with us today. And Leanne, any final thoughts before we head out this evening?
Oh, just be grateful, be kind, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to come and hang out with some people that I love in a great place with good vibes.
All right. And so my final question to you that I just thought of, are you truly done on stage, or are you just waiting for the right opportunity? Or
We never say never, right? So yeah, I think there's still roles out there for me to play, and when I'm supposed to play them, they will make themselves known.
All right. Fair enough. Credits for the show. Your host and creator is Matt Gore. That's me. My producer and editor is Mita Toole.
That's me.
Music is by Cody Walker. Please go look up Cody on Cody Walker Music on YouTube, and he's also on Cody Walker Music on Facebook as well. He's local, so and he's got a couple of albums out. Easy listening, John Denver type of guitar voice. That Cody Walker. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.